The Philippines.
How can they manage 7,641 islands?
I don't know.
I'd just crumble if I had to manage that many. I could manage maybe like 2.
2? You think you can manage 2?
I don't know. If they're like the size of like a pizza.
Okay, you're managing 2. Typhoon comes, destroys your island. What do you do?
I don't think I have much to manage anymore, so I think I'm gonna get into some IT work probably.
Meaning?
Oh, I'm just getting a new job. I don't have anything to manage.
Oh, you're leaving your island? You gotta rebuild. You gotta build a nice big hotel. He would go become an IT worker. He was gonna go work and be like, hello, may I fix your iPhone?
Yeah, I guess I'm not fit for the job. But the Philippines, they seem to be fit for the job.
Yeah, they can do it. Maybe, I guess we don't know. We'll see in the video. Maybe the video's like, yeah, they can't. The islands are all destroyed.
Yeah, they just are having a really rough time.
Yeah. Let's check this out. Hopefully you enjoy. If you do, subscribe, like the video. We got a ton of Philippines content on the channel. We got some more taste tests coming soon. We may be going to the Philippines pretty soon here, so those videos will be on our travel channel. Go check that out. Some stuff on there right now. And more videos to come.
Oh yes, be excited.
So much content. Let's do this. The Philippines. Here we go.
The Philippines is a complex archipelago nation in the northeast of Southeast Asia, made up of over 7,000 islands across an area that's probably larger than you think it is. This area is well known for having plenty of Spanish influences, but what were these islands like before the Spanish came? Furthermore, why was and is the archipelago so important, and how does the modern country integrate all 7,641 of its islands?
How do they?
First, let's understand Philippine geography for context. The modern Philippines can be easily divided into 3 island groups: Luzon, the Visayas, and Mindanao. Luzon as a region holds around 62 million people, while the island of Luzon by itself has a population of 53 million, alone making up more than half the country's population. Luzon is also home to what's known as Metro Manila, a megacity of 13 million made up of a collection of different smaller cities, including the capital Manila and the largest individual city, Quezon City.
What an interesting place to put a city. Between 2 bodies of water like that.
Yeah, literally just, it comes in, squeezes super densely through there, and then spreads back out.
Global warming. They will turn into one giant bay.
So let's stop global warming.
Yeah.
The city of Manila is the densest city in the world, with more than 43,000 people per square kilometer. That's like 0.04 people per square meter. For context, Macau, the most densely populated territory in the world, holds around 21,000 per square kilometer. In fact, the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th densest cities in the world are also located within Metro Manila. Luzon as a whole is highly urbanized, with some of the country's biggest and most important deepwater ports, and accounts for nearly 2/3 of the country's GDP. As a region, Luzon is also associated with the islands of Mindoro and Palawan, together the Mimaropa region to the southwest, as well as the Bicol region to the southeast. Second are the Visayas, comprised primarily of Bohol, Cebu, Leyte. Second are the Visayas, comprised primarily of Bohol, Cebu, Leyte.
Hey, Michael
Second
here.
are the Visayas, comprised primarily of Bohol, Cebu, Leyte, Negros, Panay, and Samar, though Palawan can also sometimes be included in this list. The peoples of these islands speak several different yet closely related Visayan or Bisayan dialects, and are also where Ferdinand Magellan first landed, and was later killed. Lastly, Mindanao is the southernmost cluster of islands, and its western portion remains predominantly Muslim to this day. Mindanao itself is the 2nd largest island after Luzon, and is home to 26 million people, many of whom live in the largest city, Davao. Mindanao, however, is also one of the poorer areas of the country, making up only 17% of the national economy, largely supported by agriculture, fishing, and forestry. But before we can learn more about what this country is like and what challenges it has to deal with nowadays, first we have to... No, this is not an ad break, this video isn't sponsored. Okay, what I was going to say was, we must first ask...
Before we get back into this reaction, we... No,
sorry, we just pranked you.
Get pranked.
Nice thing to throw in there.
What was it like in the past? More specifically, what was it like before the Spanish arrived? These islands and these regions are essentially only one country because of...
Oh my gosh, I just cracked the code. before the Spanish came, it was all one big island, and the Spanish dug a bunch of holes.
Well, yeah,
and they filled it in with water.
How else were they going to circumnavigate the globe if they couldn't dig holes through the water?
They came to the island, and it was one big island. They're like, what the heck? How do we get around this thing?
They connected all the way up to Japan, too, by the way. You didn't know that.
Get the shovels, boys, let's go. And then they got messed up because there's randomly chocolate hills and cliffs. And like, go around. Oh, wait, go back this way. And then it turned into that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Those fracking Spaniards.
Dang. They destroyed the island.
Well, Spanish colonialism. Before the Spanish first arrived, however, the map was a lot more fractured. The first credible written record in the Philippines, written in a mixture of Old Javanese, Old Malay, and Sanskrit, dates back to around AD 900. However, the Philippine cultures also developed their own writing system from the 14th through 16th centuries, in Abugida known as Baybayin. I very briefly mentioned it in my video on why India and also Southeast Asia have so many writing systems, but Baybayin is part of the Brahmic family of writing systems, a descendant of Kawi, which itself descended from Brahmi, which may or may not, it's still very disputed, descend from Aramaic, itself sharing a common ancestor with scripts including Latin, Cyrillic, and Arabic.
I know those ones. Yeah. And Phoenician,
back in those days, the islands were home to a whole host of different polities. While certain areas were often controlled by outside powers like the Brunei Sultanate, it was also home to small polities like Ma'i and Tondo. These states often adopted a form of government known as barangay, as small polities anywhere in size from small communities to city-states. Rulers took one of many different titles depending on their region, from sultans in Islamized areas to rajas where there had been extensive contact with Malaysia and Indonesia, to lakans among the Tagalogs. Interestingly, barangays are still a thing in the modern Philippines as well, though these centuries they form the smallest administrative divisions in the country, just below municipalities, themselves just below the... Wait, hang on. Alright, I want you all to guess this right now. Does the Philippines have states or provinces? Vote now on your phones.
Provinces.
Provinces. The answer is provinces.
Oh.
It's not provinces?
As if to show just how diverse they have always been, the Philippines can be divided into 134 ethno-linguistic groups, with 135 languages native to the country, the 135th being the national language Filipino, an official variety of the Tagalog language, co-official in government alongside English. I guess it's a little like how Indonesia's co-official in government alongside English.
All the different English languages.
Interesting.
That is wonky.
I guess it's a little like how
Quite the
Indonesia's
Wonk
national
master.
language, also to united groups speaking hundreds of native languages across a diverse archipelago nation, is a Malay-based dialect called Indonesian. With English being an official language alongside Filipino, and thus being a mandatory subject in school, while Spanish has no longer been required for decades now, the Philippines technically has the fourth largest population of English speakers in the world, with over 30,000 native speakers, and around 90 million speakers in total. The Philippines is one of the very few countries in Asia to have Christianity as its major religion. I probably don't need to tell you this, because colonialism. Before they were taken over by the Spanish though, the Philippines were largely Islamic, and Hindu before that, and early folk beliefs before that, and part of Pangaea before that. Back in the 14th century, an explorer named Makhdum Karim left his province of Malacca, bringing Islam to the Philippines. He converted the Hindu king Raja Baginda of the Sultanate of Sulu to Islam. No Star Trek fans, that is not a coincidence. And then marrying his daughter, just for good measure. Islam became increasingly popular after this conversion, following an inflow of Muslim traders from the Middle East, Malaysia, and India. Today, the oldest mosque in the country is named after him, but just 140 years later, another influential guy would show up in the Philippines. His name was Ferdinand Magellan.
Ferdy.
When it comes to colonialism, the Philippines is sort of like a reverse Thailand. When Magellan came to the islands in 1521, he claimed the archipelago for the Spanish crown, naming it after his friend Phil. Then he was shot by an arrow and fatally killed on the island of Mactan. 3 further expeditions were sent, all ending in disaster, with Miguel Lopez de Legazpi establishing the first Spanish settlement on the islands in Cebu in 1565, and Manila 6 years later. Alongside the soldiers, however, also came missionaries, with the aim of converting the local population to Roman Catholicism, a mission which nowadays seems to have been about 82.9 to 85% successful, with of course the notable exception of the Muslim sultanates of Mindanao and Sulu. Then, to very briefly summarize things, there were a series of revolts throughout the 19th century, which were all brutally suppressed until the rebels started to gain the upper hand. At which point the US, also fighting a war with Spain, basically said, "Hey guys, y'all want some help fighting the Spanish in exchange for another 50 years of foreign rule?" Traveling between the islands, both historically and in modern times, is primarily done by... Well, you're looking at the map.
The topic cut so quickly, I thought he was going to continue that thought of...
I thought it literally lagged, but no. What the heck? Yeah, I thought he was going to like go about saying like, oh yeah.
And it was just like, no, they took him over. That's it.
Map, how do you think they get between the islands? The Rocinante? Aside from many cheap Cebu Pacific flights, there also exist a series of privately and publicly run ferries. Many of these ferries might also serve the Philippine Nautical Highway System, also called the Road Roll-On Roll-Off Terminal, or RORO system. A series of three different integrated highway and ferry routes forming the backbone of the national transport system. Navigating within islands can also be difficult though, as these tropical volcanic islands are incredibly mountainous and extremely forested. Now, you remember how I talked about how dense Metro Manila can be? Turns out that also applies to cars, as Manila is infamous for its traffic. Who'd have thought the densest city in the world wouldn't be a good place for the least density-friendly form of urban transport imaginable?
I wouldn't have thought that.
No, it's pretty insane. Like, just driving in like any big city seems like it would just be like a mess. Like there's decent amount of traffic in almost every big city, and then parking, if you ever want to find a spot to park, is just a complete mess. And then you throw in the fact that you get a decently densely populated city, and then it's like, oh, it's even harder. And then you get the most densely populated city, and then it's like, oh, oof.
This is not going to be fun. I bet I might as well hop in a jeepney, and then sit in traffic in the jeepney.
Yeah, and just be like sitting in the back, like, hey, I'm in a jeepney.
You just record yourself. What up, guys?
Hey,
jeepney here.
We might be doing that soon. If we do end up in a jeepney recording ourselves, we will say that exact line.
Yes, we will.
Hey guys, what up? Jeepney here.
We will. We were in India and we haven't ridden a rickshaw yet, so we'll just never go in a jeepney. Whack.
TomTom Traffic Index, as of 2019, just so we don't have to account for COVID lockdowns, Manila was ranked the second most congested city in the world, scoring 71%. Meaning a trip from
if you're not first, you're last, Philippines. Get out of here, dude.
Come on,
Manila.
Point A to point B took on average 71% longer than it would have without congestion. It also doesn't help how little the city's public transport truly serves the demand it receives, with long waits for the MRT or LRT not unheard of. Thus, it is clear that Manila needs help with its mass transit woes. Not you, Elon. In addition, however, with them literally lying on their own tectonic plate, the Philippines is often subject to intense earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. I swear, I'm not the only one noticing parallels between the Philippines and Indonesia, am I? The 1991 eruption of Mount Pinatubo in particular required more than 20,000 be evacuated. Combine this with the increasingly frequent and violent typhoons due to man-made climate change, and the struggle of keeping up well-functioning infrastructure becomes more and more apparent. Even with all these geographical challenges to contend with though, the Philippines is still one of the most important countries in the Asia-Pacific region, even if they're routinely forgotten about through what I like to call the New Zealand effect.
RIP New Zealand!
New Zealand! Poor New Zealand. They always just get forgotten about.
Yeah.
Just those like, oi! Wanna be Australians down here, bro?
I'm a Kiwi.
Oi! I'm named after a little bird.
I don't know. It's like a softer Australian, but then when I go softer, I just go higher pitched for some reason.
Oi! Let's go throw shrimp on the barbie!
There's a bloody snake in my beach!
Oi!
That's not easy.
DK my baby!
Oh no!
Oi!
No! Anyways, yeah, the Philippines, it seems like for the most part, they manage. There's obviously the challenges that he mentioned pretty briefly at the end, but
there's traffic.
There's natural occurrences, somewhat accelerated by climate change.
Not going to the Philippines anymore. After we were in Dubai, the metro sucked because there was so much traffic. Not going anymore. Oh yeah, I don't like traffic. Driving in it was not fun. And then when people are like, oh, I'll avoid the traffic and get on the metro, and then there's a million people.
I don't know why us tensing up here. This is like a demonstration of how we're like.
And then the train stops.
And then it goes.
And then that's the metro. Hopefully you guys enjoyed another Philippines reaction video. If you did, subscribe, like the video. We'll be back with some more soon. And some more taste tests. Jollibee breakfast, Jollibee Dubai menu, and
3
more.
more snack taste tests.
Oh!
That's right. That's a lot of taste tests.
Ducky's there.
Great.
See you in the next one. Bye.